Canadians know all too well of guys like this minister who have a lot of money and use that money to make their problems go away. Right now, he's trying to make his problems go away by threatening members of this House of Commons with his high-priced lawyers. I've asked very clear questions of this minister. I'm going to ask one more. Is it just a coincidence that both he and his father sold millions of dollars worth of shares a week before he introduced tax increases that helped drop the value of those shares?
Yes or no? Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I have a level of disgust for what's going on the other side of the House. I actually did not know. I did not know, Mr. Speaker, that the member from Carleton could sink any lower. In fact, I didn't know that was possible. But he has actually taken efforts today to actually move for me to talk about my family. I can tell him that if he wants to ask me a question, if he wants to insinuate something about me, he should say it here, he should say it now, and he should say what he means, and then he should move it out in the foyer, because truth matters, Mr. Speaker. Yes.
Order. The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, if truth matters to the minister, he has an opportunity to tell it. In the 10 days before he introduced tax changes on the floor of this House of Commons that led to the drop of Morneau-Chappelle shares by roughly 5%, the 10 days prior to introducing those measures, both he and his father sold millions of dollars of shares in Morneau-Chappelle. Either that was a coincidence or it was not. Which is it?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I will say it again and again. I did give a direction to sell shares when I came into office to arrange my affairs. That was something I did. So what I can say, though, right now is I will take absolutely no ethical lesson from somebody who actually had a report from the Ethics Commissioner on his desk when he was a minister and didn't act on it. I will take no ethical lesson from someone who has been called out by Elections Canada. I will take no ethical lesson from someone who puts his own party out front while he's out using government money. I will take no lessons from him. I will move forward doing the right thing, which I've always done.
Yeah. Member for Carleton.
Well, the right thing, Mr. Speaker, is to actually answer the question. The member is correct that he did reveal that he sold shares. He just didn't tell anybody when. I had to dig up the date of the transaction. It turns out it was November 30th, just 1 week before he introduced tax changes on the floor of this House of Commons, which were followed by a drop in the value of his shares. He and his father have sold their shares right before the introduction of those measures. Again, simple question. Is that simply a coincidence?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, simple answer, one that perhaps the member from Carleton won't understand. I did give direction to sell my shares, but the insinuation that he's making, I believe, is that something that we announced during the trading day somehow moved markets. He might not understand how markets move, but we did.
Order. I would ask the Minister of Finance and other members of the House not to suggest that members in this House aren't able to understand things. I think that's inappropriate. I know that there is a lot of heat here. Order. The honourable member for Banff Airdrie will come to order, or he can go outside or be helped outside. Which would he prefer? Which would he prefer? I ask the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove Mr. Richards. Nobody's talking to this guy. So what There are 16 seconds remaining in the Minister of Finance's response. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps just a little sense of things that do and don't move markets. When you talk about something for 6 months, when you announce to 36 million Canadians that you're going to make a change on the top 1%, that would be something that we would describe as fully and completely disclosed. Mr. Speaker, much like all of my assets were fully and completely disclosed.
Order. The Honourable Member for Carleton.
If you read the Liberal platform, you would think that that measure was going to come into effect at the beginning of April. In fact, no revenue was projected in that platform until the beginning of April. Many tax changes do come in the middle of the calendar year. In fact, the Minister of Finance proposed one in the last summer that it would have come into effect on July 18th. So members of the market did not know exactly the timing of this measure until that member introduced it on the floor of this House of Commons. Right. Some people apparently did. Who were they?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, just a quick review of the facts. I did, as I've said, give an order to sell some of my shares. We did announce to 36 million Canadians that we were planning on raising taxes for 1%, which in fact we did. We know, Mr. Speaker, that in fact, over time, the markets have gone up. That's a clear fact, and it's a positive ramification of our economic actions. Mr. Speaker, if there is something that the member opposite would actually like to say, something that's worth saying in this House, he should say it. He should say it in the House. He should be willing to say it outside the House. We are looking forward to hearing it.